And then the next thing I want to do is I want to actually try to create some of this three-dimensional geo that's going on for the TV screen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select my 4 central faces, and I'm going to hit grow to grow my selection, and then I'm going to hit inset. And because of the fact that I've kept my geo nice and concentric, which is the reason why I had to set up my geo the way I did in the first place, my inset function works pretty nicely. So now what I can do is I can select one edge, hit ring, and it will select a concentric ring again. Control, go to face mode, and then I can hit extrude. And that will allow me to extrude out, actually cancel that, I'm going to hit bevel. And that's going to let me to bevel out a nice little edge there for that surrounding portion of the TV screen. And that looks okay. Yeah, that works alright for me. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to loop select my outer edges of this inner portion of the TV screen. And you'll notice that it's not selecting the corner here. And the reason for that is because I haven't triangulated these vertices here, and the corners have an n-gon. And whenever a loop or ring hits an n-gon, it stops. It doesn't realize or it doesn't understand what you want it to do. So that's okay. I'm going to have to turn off edge constraints now. Yeah, you just override it. You just tell it what you want it to do, but do it manually. So now I'm just going to scale this in, and actually going to make that whole selection, and I'm actually going to pull it inwards, because if you look at the TV, it's actually inset somewhat. And then I'm going to loop select, control switch to vertex mode, turn on edge constraints, and then I'm just going to slide this loop backwards, and that's going to follow the edge flow and round it out a little bit. And that works alright for me. And I'm just wondering if I need to add any more topology in here. But I think that's okay for now. So now I'm just going to work on slightly editing this silhouette here of the TV screen, because the TV screen itself does not quite have the exact same silhouette as the outer case of the TV screen. So I'm going to turn off edge selection mode, select all the outer vertices on the 4 corners of the screen, and I'm just going to scale them in. And that will serve to sort of round the screen out a little bit. And then I'm going to select the next ring of those vertices, the next outermost vertices, and I'm going to scale those a little bit too. And lastly, I'm not exactly liking how round the shape is here. So I'm going to turn edge constraints on, and I'm just going to scale this until it's a little bit more round. And same goes for these four verts. Scale them out until they're a little rounder. Now that's starting to work for me. I can start to triangulate some of this stuff. Okay. Just triangulate these corners off where I chamfered it. And that looks alright. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab these four center faces, turn off edge constraints, and I'm going to pull them outwards. And I'm going to hit F2 and F4 to put shaded mode on, just so I can try to take a look at how the shading is behaving. And it's not exactly behaving in the nicest fashion around the corners here. So what that tells me is I need some more geometry in here, just to try to get it to shade a little more nicely and to try to smooth a little bit nicely. So I'm just control selecting my edges and then hitting ring. Control select and then hit ring until I have the entire outer ring selected, and then I'm going to hit connect. And then I'm going to go control and move to my selection, my vertex selection, and then I'm going to go over here to the weld tool, and I'm going to hit the weld dialog box. And then I'm just going to crank up the weld threshold until you can interactively see the verts on those four corners welding in together. And if I hit F4 again to get to my shaded view, you'll notice that that got rid of that shading error that was being caused by the triangles in the corner there. So now my TV screen actually looks fairly round. It's looking pretty nice. With the shader on there, it would look smooth enough for a game model. So I'm just going to hit save again. And I'm going to apply some smoothing groups here. I'll put that one in smoothing group number 8. And I'm going to give this outer lip let's see, we'll give this outer lip a smoothing group of 9. And that should just about do it for the TV screen. Okay, sorry about that, everyone. My newborn baby just started crying, so I had to go and feed him and take care of him, and just pause the video. Now I'm back. So where were we exactly? Oh yes, I was trying to decide what the next area to focus on should be, and looking at it, I think that the button panel will most likely be the best spot to deal with next. So because of the fact that if you look closely here, the button panel itself actually protrudes from the face, where the TV screen actually protrudes inwards and the button panel protrudes outwards. Excuse me. So for that reason, I actually had to build the TV screen, the TV monitor, directly into the face so that it could protrude inwards. The button panel, I don't have to do that. So I can actually save some polygons, save some topology by building the button panel right on top of this front face here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into front view, and I'm going to go back over to my creation tab, to my geometry. I'm going to take another standard box. I'm going to hit F3 to go into wireframe, and then I'm going to just interactively drag it out to pretty much the shape that I see in the reference image. It doesn't have to be exact because I can edit it later. I'm just going to switch to left view and try to line it up. It looks kind of huge, but that's okay. Go back to perspective view now. Hit F3 to go back to wireframe shaded mode, and right click, convert to editable poly. Now the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to delete my back face there because I'm not going to need it. And then I'm just going to try to get the shape and the proportions basically to a realistic level. I might make them a little bit larger just so they're noticeable if it were in a game, but to a pretty much realistic level. It'll help me if I turn off wireframe here to try to get the spacing right. So I think this could be pulled up a little bit.